Hi everyone. Today we're talking with Sintija Meissner. She is the founder of mámapy. It's a online service or website which having a lot of interesting services for parents which are looking for family-friendly activities. So we will be talking a lot about starting a business as a parent, as a mother, and also, of course, all the experience that Cynthia is having in her current role and also in previous years of experience with in business development, innovation of startups, and so on. So, welcome, Cynthia. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to have uninterrupted adult discussion. No kids for 1 hour. That's already.
That sounds good. So I'm glad that you are enjoying this time. So, Cynthia, so can you tell us a bit about yourself? So, yeah, what what is your experience in background based on of course previous roles and now what is your expertise from your point of view?
Okay. So I'm a Latvian living and working in Prague for now already 10 years. And during these previous roles for various employers and mainly startups, I had a chance to wear many different hats, from market research to business development, sales, a little bit of even HR or legal. And I think I match the description of a generalist pretty well. I don't have any deep domain expertise, but I think a pretty diverse skill set. And I think this is also what led me to starting something of my own. And now, when working on my own project, I could finally use all of that diverse skill set, because when you are at the beginning, you have to do pretty much everything. You have to do your own research. You have to design your own website. Sell your own product. Kind of become a face of your own thing. And I also, very much enjoy this very early stage of the project, what I call from 0 to 1, or from an idea to an MVP, and all the creative process around it.
Okay. Well, that was my next question actually. Yeah, what is your favorite part? So it's about this entire phase of 0 to 1, or you have any other part that you love of building digital product?
Yeah. Uh, I think it's definitely this early stage, and it doesn't really matter if it's a digital product or a physical one. I have many ideas for physical products as well, but just because my previous experience comes from digital products and tech world, that's where I started. I do like the prototyping and testing and kind of gathering the customer feedback and iterating it, while you can still do it very quickly, where the stakes are not so high. Um, because I think at bigger companies and corporations, the whole process takes much more time, and there are many stakeholders involved. So I kind of enjoy this freedom and independence starting a new project gives you.
Mm, good. And in your current project, Mamapi, which we will be talking a little bit deeper later, but yeah, what are your main responsibilities? So what do you do right now or in this stage of your project?
Yeah. uh, as I said, like I do pretty much everything, because we are a very small team. It's me, my co-founder, our well, we don't call him a CTO, but our developer, who happens to be my co-founder's husband, and then we have volunteers helping us with small little things. But basically, like, me and my co-founder, we do pretty much everything. I'm not a technical person, but I designed the prototype, thanks to no code tools. We kind of put together the visual identity and graphic with little help from a graphic designer, but basically all that is entirely on us. looking for partners, looking for people who would help us. We're not yet in a hiring phase, but we are engaging a lot of volunteers that are enthusiastic about the idea, and I'm doing that as well.
Good. And based on this experience and of course previous one, how I assume you has been, of course, collecting a lot of frameworks and values about what do you think, right, about how you are working in a startup. So can you tell us a bit about, yeah, what are your key values as a founder, and maybe something that is non-negotiable for you at this stage of your life?
Yeah, well, at this stage of my life as a mom, I have to say that almost everything is negotiable, and I'm trying to be as flexible as possible. But I guess one thing that is non-negotiable for me, and mainly for our team, is communication. And it's exactly because we are a small team of very busy parents, with our own lives, kids, and everything can happen. Kids can be ill, other priorities can come up, and that's okay. But we need to communicate it. So whenever I know that this week I will definitely not get anything for the project done, I make sure my team knows it, and I expect the same.
Good, good. Yeah, so I think we haven't discussed this even off the record. Yeah, I also have a 2 years old son now, and yeah, it's of course I understand what you're saying, that you need to be really flexible because it looks like every day you wake up, yeah, there is something different will happen that day. So it's like I'm kind of waking up and say, well, what surprise will come today,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
how it will change the routine today because it's not similar every day, right?
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
exactly. I have two. I have a toddler and a baby, so it's even
mm.
more unpredictable.
Well, that's the next level, right? Don't have to. Um, yeah. So if we are talking about this, what are your? I know that. Well, maybe my question will make it sounds that you will give a perfect answer about, yeah, how to balance your personal growth and professional growth with parenthood. But yeah, do you have any tips or anything, or you believe, well, there is no answer? Is it's difficult to do it anyway.
Um, it's difficult to do it for sure, but what helps me is this mindset of like doing little things whenever you have time. Um, like if you would ask me about my typical day, there's really no such thing as a typical day, at least when it comes to the project, because I work on it whenever I have time. Or when the kids are with their dad, grandparents, nanny, or when on rare occasion they are sleeping at the same time. uh, and I use these little opportunities to to work on my own project, but also not always. There's still other things you
Right.
have to do as a parent. But I have given up the idea of perfection, and sometimes like I can close my eyes and let the dishes be unwashed, and I will rather do things that move my projects forward a little bit. One tiny step is still better than nothing. But yeah, it's an ongoing challenge. I don't think I can, like, if I would have to share like some very practical tips, then one of them would be having a shared family calendar that helps us a lot, and also having a lot of support from your partner and your closer family, because if my husband wouldn't be the most supportive husband and father ever, I don't think I would get anything done. But also on a practical basis, we put everything, every meeting, every event I have where I know I won't be able to be with the kids, I put in our shared calendar, and that then over the weekend, we look at it together and we see whether my husband can fill that, or do we need to look for a babysitter. And he does the same whenever he has something outside of his working hours. I know where we stand, and I think this is like absolutely like crucial. This is the basis for getting anything else done.
Got it, got it. Yeah, thanks for sharing those practical tips. So, yeah, share calendar for sure is important. And well, even if it doesn't work perfectly or every time, but at least it's a way to communicate, as you're mentioning, right? Yeah. So, yeah, imagine that. Well, do you have any advice about for parents who wants to start a business apart from the ones you just mentioned? So I know that you have experience even before being a mother, running or starting startups projects, right? So yeah, at this stage, and of course also comparing it with being a parent, do you have any process that you have followed in a certain way or recommended at least some in big picture ideas towards, yeah, what to do first if, let's say, yeah, I want to solve X problem and I would like to solve it running a project around that. So what is your recommendations of steps to follow?
Yeah. Well, the good thing about parenthood is that like you have you don't have much time to sit down and work on things, but I think you're more open to actually noticing the things and noticing new things, and that's what happened with me. And that's how our project was born, because I was solving my own problem. And I think a lot of parents, mostly mothers, who start their own thing, their own business during the maternity, they are solving their own problem. And I think that is already a very good start, because you are your own customer. You're also eventually taking your own medicine. You're testing your own solution. You are your own target audience, and you are with your own target audience all the time. So that is very, very helpful. You might not have experience with everything else, but I think understanding your problem, like the problem you're solving, is the most important thing. And then uh, trying to build team or network of people that will be able to help you with all these things is also important. I was lucky because I had this experience from other startups before. I had some network, and I knew where to reach to get some help. So we were lucky to get help from communities like React Girls, Holkis Marketingu, a little bit from Česko Digital as well. So you need the support both at home as well as from this closer network.
Got it. So yeah, as you mentioned, having the support of people is important in professionally and of course personally, as you are saying, right? So maybe going deeper about mámapy now. So can you tell us or define what is mámapy from your point of view as a founder? What is the vision that you have? Yeah, what is the current state that you are doing?
Okay, yeah. So the vision of mámapy is becoming that one platform every new parent needs, and where every new parent will find pretty much everything you need when you're out with your baby or with your toddler in the city. Whether it be baby-friendly restaurants, cafes, activities to do with your kids, changing stations, toilets, shops, co-works, and more. We're at the very beginning of it. For now, it's a map with the relevant filters based on the age of the kids, uh, facilities in each different place. From changing stations to kids corners. And eventually, we want this to be not just a map, but also a crowdsourced platform where people can recommend their own places. They can do this actually right now as well, but we are reviewing them. But eventually, we want them to be able to recommend, rate new places, add their own reviews, and also add photos. So that often can say much more than any description.
Got it, got it. And do you have any way that what is the feedback from your users at the moment? Maybe I wanted to talk about that process. That, yeah, how are you getting the feedback from your customers, and yeah, how are you iterating the product based on that?
Yeah. So the very beginning of this project was really a no-code prototype that I built literally over a week. It was, it was very simple map, mainly with, baby-friendly restaurants and cafes. And what one feedback we kept getting was that people actually want to contribute by recommending new places. That's what we've seen also, on various Facebook groups, that parents are actually really like into sharing this type of information, which is great. It really helped us a lot. And this is the feedback. One feedback we took seriously, and now there is an option to recommend new places. But as I said, yeah, like really evolving from a map to crowdsourced platform, and also based on the customer feedback, we have added other categories. These the mentioned activities for kids, for works for parents, or mom workouts. But obviously, we cannot add everything everyone mentions, and also we shouldn't. So we are trying to run little experiments and actually test it, in real life, or in the real product, what people are actually looking at, because there's often a discrepancy of what people are telling to you and what they're actually doing on the platform. So they might say that oh, we would really like a calendar of events for families with kids, and then we actually did a small experiment and created one, and it turned out that nobody was actually looking at it. Everyone was still interested in the same restaurants and cafes after all. So we're still testing different things. I think many of the categories we have now will evolve, and some of them we might in the end discover are not that useful for parents. So we're still in the phase of iterating it. For now, there's a bit of everything, and I think eventually we will end up narrowing down to those categories that end up being the most visited.
Got it. Yeah, it's. Do you have any? You have mentioned that in getting the feedback, you cannot just take what people is saying and just go and implement it, because you can see that then later they don't really use it. So, uh, do you have any comment or suggestions toward how to prevent this? Because I think a lot of the time when you are doing user research, you need to. It's more about to find even what people is not telling you in some
Right.
matter, and that's what actually you need to solve instead of actually what they are telling you. I don't know if I explained correctly, but do you have any suggestion into this topic?
Yeah. I think it's much more useful to ask people about their problems than asking them about the specific thing they would like. And
Mhm.
very often people can't even like imagine what the solution to their problem will look like, and you don't want them to do that. I don't think anyone ever envisioned Uber as a thing they need. But they had a problem of commuting within the city, and that was one solution that solved this problem. So I'm trying to keep this in mind. I'm also trying to keep in mind that your close friends, people will praise you no matter what. Actually, a book that helped me with this, it's called Mom Test. And after two people suggested me the book, I was like, okay, I will. I didn't have time to read it, but I listened to it, and I can recommend it to everyone. It's really about uh, um, how to do customer research right, and why you don't want to do it with your mom, because your mom will always lie you, and so will your closest friends, because they want to compliment you. They want you to feel good about your project, and they will never actually uh, tell you if there's something wrong. So I really recommend this book. It has very also many practical tips on how to ask the right question. And I thought I knew how to do customer research because I've done it before in my previous roles, but actually this book challenged me quite a lot.
Yeah, that's actually that book is one of my recommended ones every time someone is talking about user research. Yeah, because it's exactly like that. You cannot just ask your friends and family, or even a stranger. You cannot just ask them and say, "Hey, would you use this?" Because typically they will try to say, "Yes, I will use it," right? But it's just a hypothesis that they
Right,
will use it. But,
right. And it's the same,
um,
the same about would you pay for this? Um, so yeah, we've seen actually surveys done probably by our competition on whether people would pay for a thing like this, and they turned out like I would say overly optimistic. Because I would like this, to be a freemium for us, but I know myself that I probably wouldn't pay for it because I'm used to getting this type of information for free on other sources. And but people are very optimistic about what they would theoretically be willing to pay until they actually have to pay for it.
yeah, exactly. So it's always better than show me the cash or the credit card to be able to like the only real proof is that you need to pass the card.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm. Um, yeah, so I know that you have mentioned that you have been collaborating with other professionally also with other communities like Holki, S Marketing or Cheska Digital and so on. So can you tell me a bit of these partnerships, how they has been helpful for you? If we can go deeper into maybe each of them, like or any other resources that you consider or communities or people to follow while
Yeah.
building a product, of course.
So Hokey's marketing, I think everyone in this Czech startup community knows them, and thanks to them, I probably found my co-founder, Tamara. She was
Hmm.
part of their academy for future entrepreneurs, and she mentioned this idea of hers in one article, uh, and many people then ended up sending me this article like, look, there's this girl who wants to do something very similar to you, and you should connect.
Uh-huh.
And
Got
when
it.
we got in touch, it turned out really that we've been thinking like along the same lines. I just had the prototype. She was in the academy, and funny enough, I had the domain of mámapy, and she had mámapy. So that was funny, and it was it was kind of almost a sign that we have to join forces, which we did, and that we were also part of Holkey's Marketing Academy, where junior or aspiring marketers created like social media strategies for us. Um, then React Girls, that was actually almost ironic because at one of their events we gave a talk on creating a no-code prototype because it was all we had back then, and then we ended up actually coding the map. React Girls helped us, or they connected us with one of their graduates who is now actually working for us, who's helping us with the code. And I think that's a win-win because we get help with simple fixes and adding new features, whereas she can actually learn a new thing and have a new project on her portfolio.
Got it. So so that's good to find team members and also, of course, co-founders for your projects to be part of these communities, right? Yeah. So, is there any? Can you tell us a bit? Well, if you have any process towards selecting the places that are in the map, are you visiting personally the places, or how do you feel into this process? And maybe yeah, what is good now and maybe what is not that good from your point of view.
It's a combination. It's a combination of both online research from various
Mhm.
sources and also personal experience and recommendations from users. But also, whenever we have a new recommendation, we try to visit it in person and add a description that is based really on our personal experience and curate the content a little bit. Um, our actually like initial inspiration for Mámapy was Gastromapa, if you know it, uh, because Gastromapa is perceived
Mhm.
as a guarantee of quality, wherever you go. Um, so this is, I think, the direction in which we want to go. But we don't, if there would be only places we have visited ourselves, the map would not be, uh, that big yet. So it has to be a combination of both, crowdsourced content and curated content. Also, as a parent, sometimes you can't really be that picky because the use case, we were actually like the use case that's led me to creating Mámapy was that you're in the city, it's raining, the weather is terrible, you're with a stroller, the baby's crying, you need to feed him, change him, and like you have no idea where. And you need one simple, source. You don't have time to do a lengthy research online. Uh, and in that case, you can't really be that picky. Like as a parent, you're not always going to the place with amazing kids corner and an amazing cafe. Sometimes just the fact that you will get in with a stroller and there will be actually nice customer service is enough.
Got it, got it. Yeah, that's common these days. Like today or previous day has been rainy day, so your use case has been getting some test.
Yeah, yeah. Also, my both kids are born in autumn, so
Okay.
this is the time when you can't really enjoy outdoors that much, and you really have to search for these places.
Exactly. So, since we are talking about these places now, so do you have any favorite places that you visit frequently with your kids at this stage that maybe you can comment for someone looking for these places in Prague?
Yeah. Well, I can recommend checking out our map for sure. But
Of course.
from my experience, like with our first kid, we lived next to Vyšehrad. So I had this area mapped pretty well. And actually, like the places where I like to go the most were places that wouldn't even like match the criteria of, they wouldn't be mentioned in the group of places with kids corners because they didn't have a kids corner, but they were like otherwise like very, stroller friendly, spacious. So for example, I like around Vyšehrad, I like Camp and their cafe. Like you can get in with a stroller easily. You can even work there, park the stroller outside in the inner yard. And for older kids, there are exhibitions they can enjoy as well, or they can just run around the space. Also, Vyšehrad has a nice barrier-free cafe at the very top. I used to go there a lot. Podrefená husa and their legendary kids corner. I ate way too many lunches there. And now we're in Žižkov, and actually my favorite place now is Cafe Spirit, which is also yoga spirit, yoga studio. They offer yoga classes for moms with babies, and there's also a small cafe with a tiny, tiny kids corner, but that's enough because you can park the stroller outside and just sit and look at the stroller from the window. And they also have bottomless filtered coffee, very useful for new parents.
Good, good. So that's a good tip to have bottomless coffee.
Yeah.
Good. So that was you recommended that to that place, or you arrived to it and it was like that before?
It was like this. I hope it's still like this because I think their main audience is tired moms. So that's amazing.
Good, good. So thanks for sharing that. So I will maybe switch gears a bit to other topics based on your answers before. You mentioned that you coded at the beginning your platform with no code tools. So and currently this is kind of a trendy, well, not that all trendy to use more of these tools to start and build a prototype and maybe an initial version of digital products, right? So yeah, do you have any recommendations of what places to visit to know more about no code tools or any specific tools that you believe are good for building in your context a web application or even a mobile application if you know anything about this?
So I've actually even written a blog post about it, but
Mhm.
because I'm no expert in this area, and I kind of got into no code really by accident, just by searching for a tool to build this map. But I got like very interested, so I started also interviewing other, people who are in the area of no code in this region. So you can maybe even link, the blog post in the comment section. But like from my own
Yeah.
experience, it's really the best way to start with, start something, build a prototype with low cost and very quickly. I don't like, I don't see any other, any reason to not to do it with no code, unless you're maybe in a very like regulated area. Uh, but and also I don't see any any reason nowadays to actually code a website or basic landing page. Again, like my own experience, is very limited. I used, I think, I tried Wix, I tried GoDaddy website builder, and now actually for this project we used Squarespace for the landing page, and it's a very intuitive, very beautiful tool. I actually really loved playing with it, and I think literally anyone, you don't need to have any technical background, can do it. But when it comes to like building more complicated solutions or apps, I the only thing I can recommend is really doing your own research, because there are the tools are evolving and there are new tools appearing all the time. Um, like for the tool I found for our map, it was literally called No Code Map. It was what I typed in the Google search, the first thing that appeared. But it's not it's not known tool at all. And they're a startup themselves, which had its pros and cons. The pros being that they were actually pretty flexible, and they were taking our feedback like very seriously, and then integrating it into their solution. And they were also very cheap. And the cons being that you're somewhat limited to their offering, and with what we wanted to scale, in the end, it wasn't enough. But I think many solutions can be scaled also with no code tools. So it's really case by case. I can recommend doing your own research, and maybe connecting with some local no code communities, and I've mentioned those actually in my blog article as well.
Okay. Yeah. So we will add the blog post in the comments so that people can take a look and get more information into this area, right? Um. Yeah. So do you apart from the no code part, so do you have any framework or way that you are operating towards building this product? I know that at least because we have met also with creative long time ago, a few years back with creative dog, I know they follow certain processes or frameworks. So do you take something out from this experience with them to now your own project? So if you can comment into this.
Yeah, I think that Creative Doc, my first experience with startups here, was probably like I still look back at that time as an experience that taught me to really look at every customer problem as an opportunity to create some solution. and I'm still like roughly following the idea of ideation, prototyping, and MVP. I always have that in my mind, but because I think also partly because of my schedule being so like wild, and everything being so hectic, we're just trying to be as lean as possible. Like I'm really trying to limit all our activities to like what would bring the most value, and not focusing on things that actually like make tiny little difference, but like but you need a lot of effort. So with our team, we've also, one of the first things and internal workshops we did was, writing down the vision and mission of this project, and then kind of also writing down all the ideas and functionalities we would like to have, and then placing them in this graph based on, effort versus value, and focusing on those that, are uh, high impact, and preferably less effort, and eventually moving along this timeline. But it can also change. It's one thing I've learned is that it's in the end very different from what you put on the paper initially. So now I'm enjoying the freedom that I don't have to like create very rigid timelines and follow very rigid deadlines that in the end will anyway be moved. So we really now try to take it step by step, and see where it takes us.
Got it. Yeah. So yeah, of course, as you mentioned, being lean and to focus into what low hanging fruits can be out there to and provide good value. That's a good approach for sure. Yeah, do you follow any books or podcasts or other sources that you keep learning if you have any time for it? And you I know you have mentioned that, for example, the Mon test is an important book for you that you have listened. Yeah, do you have any other resources that you would like to share?
So I really don't have the time to read, but I do like whenever I get a good recommendation for a book or a podcast, I listen to it. So apart from mom tests, also on my Audible, now I'm actually listening. It's called $1 Million Weekends, written by Noah Kagan. I'm actually also following him on LinkedIn, so that's like a nice combination of reading his book and also following real time his kind of personal posts and little insights. So that is like one business related book. Another not so much business related, but I guess still self development related is Happy Money by a Japanese author whose name I now forgot. But that one is about our relationship with money, and I found this a very kind of eye-opening book to read. And of course, there's a lot of parenting ones, but I guess your listeners will not be interested in those.
Well, you can also mention the parenting one, so don't worry, because if also, yeah, I assume there will be parents, entrepreneurs, and employees as well.
Yeah, but then the one I would recommend, and maybe some of them have read or listened to it already, is Unconditional Parenting. And you know what? I think it's also relevant for uh, for maybe business and or communication with any kind of individual, that's not only with your kids.
Got it. So it's translating parenting to to business life and so on. I think it's important anyway. Good. Yeah. Can you tell us, yeah, what are the next steps for you in Mamapi? So is there any specific plans that you have that maybe you can share with us, or yeah,
Yeah.
so that people can get excited about the future of your project?
Yeah. So there are many directions in which we can grow. One is expanding it toward not only Prague but also either the rest of the country or other cities in Europe. We are like we are fans of the city environment, which we realized is not that well covered by other platforms. So maybe this is where we're gonna go next. Also, another thing is adding other points of interest, like baby-friendly hotels and trips, for instance. And also, growing the platform as our kids grow, because for now we've been focused on really the needs of the, the the smallest ones from 0 to 3 years old, let's say. But as our kids will be growing, probably so will the platform with us. And actually, but for now, we are really focused on our niche. And as you noticed, that the website is now in English, and that's because the niche I am targeting right now are actually expat moms or expat parents who I found are actually even more confused with this whole parenting thing than the Czech ones, and they don't know the local sources, they don't know where to go, and they really appreciated actually a solution like this. Um, so first, really want to nail down this niche and potentially explore another target audience that are travelers or foreigners visiting Prague with their families. And you're actually one of the first ones to hear the idea, but one more idea I'm exploring now, and we'll see if this is a spin-off of mámapy or something else, but those are custom-made tours for foreigners traveling to Prague with their kids. But that's maybe a whole new topic for a different episode.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing those news, and of course, all the best with with those initiatives, and hope they work as planned or iterated in the process, which I assume that will happen as well. Right?
Yeah. Most of the things don't go as planned, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's important to maybe crash the plan as fast as possible so that you can go into the right direction.
Yeah. Failing and learning quickly, they say.
Exactly. Yeah, do you have any specific, now coming back to maybe to your past roles? I know that you have been working again in Creative Dog as a project manager or handling the startups, right? From the ideation to the MVP as well, and also working as a business developer in different companies, and also later working in WeWork Labs where you were handling this interesting program. So yeah, what are the learnings that maybe you have extracted out of your previous experience that maybe you can share with us towards business development or even in the startup in general, right?
So actually in Creative Dog, I was doing really a bit of everything. And then it somehow led me to business development and a bit of sales, and then like into actually like a program development and working for these startup studios and building a whole new program within WeWork Labs. And like I think like one thing I really learned about myself is that I am a generalist, and that's why I like thrived the most when I was in WeWork, because there I was able to kind of apply all these skills a little bit, because I was actually, taking care of the space, taking care of the sales, kind of, filling the space, and then I was also, building the program and connecting these startups with mentors. So one step led to another, and like I guess you're looking for like a business advice from me here, but in the end, I think I will give a personal or like a professional advice for everyone. Like is that like you never know, where like how one thing will lead to another, and that's what happened with my career and with my professional development. Like I studied politics and European studies, and I never knew that I will end up in startups, and it's been amazing, and I wouldn't change it for anything. And I think all of this also kind of gave me the skill sets to start my own thing. But then again, I think there is nothing that can prepare you for starting a new thing apart from starting a new thing. You can learn some things from working for different companies and from reading books and listening to podcasts, but when you're actually when it's you and you're responsible for everything, and the mistakes you make are yours, there's nobody else to blame. It's totally different, and I think I have a really a newborn respect for all the entrepreneurs and everyone who start their own thing.
And is there anything that you would change or reflect now? Because I know that what you have mentioned more or less is this. I mean, I just reflecting on this quote, I think from Steve Jobs, that it says that you always can just if I am chopping the quote, but basically it's about that you can always connect your dots in backwards, not forward, right? Like that
Yeah.
right now in your future or your present now, you are reflecting of your past, and you see, well, yeah, actually all of this stuff that maybe looks unrelated, now they are helpful for you, right? um yeah, so is there something that maybe you would change in that process, or you still would say, well, no, that was okay in that way, or yeah?
No, I'm really not a regretful person. I don't think I regret doing anything. So really, like one thing, let's to another, and of course, we eventually end up building this story. But that is also important. And I don't know how will this story of mine look in 10 years from now. But to answer your question, I really cannot name one thing that's I regret doing or I would do otherwise now.
Good, thanks for sharing. I know that, well, it's a bit changing the subject a lot, but I know that you mentioned before that um yeah, about social media strategy, and that you were learning about this with your partner, with your co-founder in Holki as matter marketingu, sorry. And yeah, how do you work with social media nowadays, if you have any tips into this? Because for someone who is planning to start a business, so how do you use social media so that people knows about mámapy from your, at least from your experience till
Yeah.
now?
So this is a great question because this is our biggest weakness. Me and my co-founder, we're quite, different. We have different skill sets, but unfortunately, both of us, we realize we hate social media, or the social media we should be working on the most. So none of us actually are active on Instagram, and our several attempts to kind of build this social media presence uh, were actually very unsuccessful because we realized we don't want to, we like our privacy. We don't want to, put it out there. We don't want to put our kids, photos of our kids on social media, even though these personal stories like resonate the most. One thing we actually we decided to do, and it was a conscious decision, is to leave Instagram alone for now. Put like a static grid as our business card, because people will look at. We'll look at it, and it has to be there, but we are not actively posting right now. And I think it was after one conversation with Pavlina Loženska where she said that, well, if you don't feel like it, then it will be like people will notice it. And I don't like enforced posts or social media presence. So we're still like on the hold with this one, and we'll see how it ends up. It will probably end up with us, hiring someone who is who is really passionate about it, because we are not. It's actually funny enough that I actually scroll through LinkedIn and not through Instagram, which is probably better for my professional development. But for the project and looking at our target audience, Instagram would be would be a much more useful platform. But then again, on LinkedIn, I'm getting a lot of kind of useful feedback and connections that I wouldn't get otherwise.
Good. Yeah, I mean, and maybe, well, I personally use every social media more or less, but typically, as you mentioning, when I am referring to social media, but I don't know, I'm just gonna reflect into this, is I don't really personally publish about my song or stuff like that or my personal life that much. I just use it mainly for promoting the podcast conversations or sharing a nice landscape that I like or stuff like that, right? Or so it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't necessarily means that you need to share your personal life. So is maybe just try to find that balance in just sharing the, I don't know, maybe about the places that you visit in Mamap, which are listed in Mamapi, right? And that's not necessarily you taking a picture of yourself or your family, right? So
Yeah. But one thing I
that,
realized, it's really hard to take a picture of the place with no kids' faces.
yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah,
no, you are absolutely right. That's actually one thing we will be doing right now. We have a whole gallery of places we have visited ourselves, and we will be sharing those on Instagram at least. But the whole idea is to kind of motivate people to to actually visit the map, to go for, for you go to Instagram for inspiration, but the use case of you being somewhere in the city in a new neighborhood and not knowing where to go, that's when you turn to the map.
yeah, exactly. Yep. So that's good to reflect on that. And of course, thanks for sharing that this is kind of your weakness at the moment, but you are
Yeah,
working on it to, well, I mean, again, yeah, it's important to also have that self awareness, as you're mentioning, that, yeah, I don't like that. So then maybe I need to hire someone who will actually like that, right? Because
yeah,
as I think Pavlina from Holkey's Marketing is saying, right, that you need to, like, people will notice if you like it or not, right? Like, it's kind
yeah,
of like that.
yeah, exactly. And also for us, this is still a passion project, and like either way, we have to do things we're not so passionate about. We sometimes you have to do the admin things, and you have to work with the Excel sheets and add new places and descriptions. Like you cannot avoid that. But I think minimizing the things you hate doing is crucial for us to still be motivated, and kind of getting the best out of very limited resources we have.
Understood. Yeah. Is there anything that maybe we haven't mentioned today about Mamapi that maybe you would like to share to us now before we finish for today? So, what is, if you have anything that maybe we haven't talked?
Um, I think we have covered quite a lot. Uh,
Yeah, me too. I think
yeah.
so. Um, yeah, so I think then we can share for now. Yeah, yeah. What places people can get to know you more, Cynthia, or any website or link that you would like to share? Feel free to do it.
So one link obviously is mámapy.cz,
Mhm.
where people can, not only see the map but also recommend other places we've missed, or places you think we should visit and review and add to the map. But I am personally, I can be reached on LinkedIn. That is probably the best place.
Yeah, we will also include a link to your LinkedIn to the podcast description, so anyone can go there and go directly to your profile. And if you have any further questions to you, they can do it.
Sure, sure.
Um,
Happy to talk.
good. So thank you, Cynthia, for your time today. I hope you have enjoyed the conversation, and well, all the best with your project and the next initiative that you are planning to do. And yeah, that everything goes in the right direction.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.